Good morning, welcome to Morning Review. This is Kim Watson speaking on Monday, the 18th of January. So, looking at the euro dollar first, and Friday's push up only just managed to break the prior highs there, and it sort of pulled back within range again, with running back into sort of this sort of clump of range without any real trend going on here. Could be argued the trend is marginally changed to the upside, it having broken the prior lows there. So this low here, well, sorry, prior highs marginally. So you put a higher low in and possibly arguing the case for the a continuation to this upside, but it's just looking very choppy. I think the upside is built up on a fragile move anyway, without any really real moves up. The only decent move up we had was on the 7th of January. After that, we've had the up bars have been pretty limited in terms of how well they hold, giving us a shooting star even on Friday. So watching carefully now, the obvious thing is that there is, as I say, slight uptrend there, and it'd be just a case of seeing if we do break that trend line. Now we've sort of seems to be breaking out of this channel, a descending channel that's running in there. It's where it can hold, but it's very bitty at the moment, and you could probably redraw this and look at redrawing the channels, but say looking more choppy to which could result in more, well, I say more, but possible a reversal back to the downside. Draw a similar trend line across the lows of the 4 hourlies here. Okay, so from a daily aspect, where does it look like? Well, Friday's inability to hang on to the highs there, eventually seeing it coming all the way back towards the 21 moving average, 21s. Suggest, well, as I say, possibly a tad of weakness, a failure to hold on. So looking really at the moment, well, it's having a bit of a bounce off that 100 MA. If it can push on, well, it could head on and break this little trend line I've drawn on here. It's quite steep. Could see it go back towards the daily pivot, maybe beyond. Maybe a big ask for it to push all the way back up to the highs there, but there's a possibility. Alternatively, any break of this lower trend, I'll be looking at the S1, and last week sort of some of the intraday lows there. There's a possibility, even back to the weekly pivot is a possibility there. Bit mixed though overall. Cable's obviously selling off at the moment, continuing in that route pretty cleanly through the whole of last week, really, with the exception of one day and a doji day, but does look weak. Now, I'll get to that point where we're getting pretty oversold here in some respects. Certainly the RSI would suggest it, well, and probably stochastics from a cyclical point of view may suggest it's towards a low of a movement, but they could hang in there for some time. So there's nothing much we can do here apart from look at the short side of things. We've got the weekly pivot above us, which is a possibility. One thing I didn't check on the euros where the weekly pivot was sitting, so it's already been caught, so it becomes fine. That's why I didn't notice it so clearly. But we have got the weekly pivot above us on cable, but at the moment, there could be a bit of divergence occurring on the 4 hourly. Maybe the hourly, I've drawn this trend line probably too quickly because the candle's not finished yet, so I've really got to take that off for now. Break of Friday's lows could see us running down towards the S1 area, and maybe a bit slower in terms of taking that, in terms of just in case we just get a little false move and a bit of divergence. It's sort of looking like it wants the divergence on these hourlies as well, although the RSI did come up over the 50s, so perhaps that's worn that move off and will give us the okay, I'll say the okay, but the possibility of continuing to this downside is certainly weaker to the downside, and a break of the lows may trigger a move down towards that S1. Okay, this cable looking then at dollar yen. It continues strengthening, quite a strong divergence sitting there on Friday on the dailies. It's come up, it's already hit the weekly pivot there, and the lows of this sort of previous range, it's sort of sitting in, pop that across there. There's a sort of a range sitting across there, which it's run back into. Now it's reacting off that. I guess the question is will it continue the momentum to the downside that we started to pick up here with the lower highs, and will this do likewise? But will it get back down towards this low side is the question. At the moment, it's aiming for that sort of way. It's just about to draw. Looks like it wants to break that prior low there, get below the 21s. If it does, well, it could be on for Friday's lows and maybe even all the way down to the S1 there, but certainly strengthening, or the yen strengthening against the US dollar at this rate. Okay, Aussie dollar. Okay, we've seen a bit of a bounce off the monthly S3, so we've broken through sort of quite a lot of levels of support there, and it's sitting now on its sort of last hope really for the month, and it could of course break through this. It's rarer, but the pivots were a little bit more pinched on the monthlies. It's already hit the weekly pivot there at the moment and had a decent bounce. I'm looking really today whether it will break this these prior two lows here, or whether it's going to break this lower trend line that's coming down here. If it breaks that, well, maybe we could be on for a bigger bounce, and maybe the R1 pivot. A break to the lows, well, it really looks like Friday's lows, and maybe that monthly S3 could be in target again. So may get a bit of support off the 21s, but they've actually tested on that side. The 21 exponential's already been tested and almost on the next bar. A bit of a weird movement. It may come back and test that 21 simple. Okay, so look at, overall though, with the lower highs, it's got, and lower lows, it's got to look at weakish, and my preference would be on the downside on the Aussie dollar. I struggle to look elsewhere on it really. Canadian dollar, completely inverted here, and the potentials for further upside has come back to the dailies there. There's no surprise in terms of some of the movement that we've seen here. It did push up higher on the basis of Iran's oil ability to get out there. I forget, is it 1 million a day or something like this barrel? So that's going to certainly put on a bit of pressure onto oil even further. So just checking the numbers actually. I can't see the numbers, but it's flooding more oil onto the market, which is already weak, and they certainly want to get some revenue in. So even if it's $20 a barrel, I should imagine they'll be wanting to get the revenue in. We could see a continuation to the upside with the Canadian dollar at the moment. And if we come out, we'll look at West Texas oil even for a moment, just as a guide. Monthly pivot well above us, but we're already down to 28.67. Are we going to see $25 barrels? Well, certainly looks like a possibility as we're moving forward, unless there was some sort of agreement. And it would appear that the previous old OPEC agreements and things like this it seems a bit more everyone for themselves at the moment, particularly with Russia being such a big player. So at the moment, it looks like, as I say, that could head up down towards 25.60, which could push the Canadian dollar. Well, this could push it up to the 148 area, 148.29 area even. So that's that R3. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. Hope you have a great day. Today we've got a US bank holiday, so little news expected this afternoon, and there's very little in the way of normal news coming out today. Now, we've seen comments, etc., from China over through the Asian session, so that's we've seen those the price action from that. We've seen the reaction to the oil levels there. So there's little now to generate unless there's other speakers, etc., that may just say something about each or any economy. But there's little to move these at the moment. Okay, so that's it for me. Have a great day. Bye for now.